Alright. Going to Daybreak by Spork's choice. Spork is a bit late, so there's going to be 0-1 in Daedalus' favor. Alright. We are on to the next game of the Heartland Hitmen April Showers tournament. I almost said something very bad. I hate you, chat, Rob. Anyway, so, in the top right, in a PvP, we have Heartland Hitmen's Daedalus. In the bottom left, also Protoss. In the red, we have Heartland Hitmen's Spork. Now, PvP, very volatile matchup. It's been plagued by 4 gates in the Wings of Liberty era. Just now kind of starting to stabilize. This is a silver versus gold. This is the gold bracket of our tournament. Again, we have 3 brackets. We have the gold, the platinum, and the diamond. So we're going to be jumping around those all day, get a nice variety of games, and get everyone on air that we can. So, I have seen Daedalus play, I believe, but he was playing Terran at the time. No, excuse me. He had a very, very strong push against Littleskank, also of Heartland Hitmen, who I've done some casting with, and he just does some very, very good pushes. So we'll see how his PvP is, but his PvZ is kind of scary. Very aggressive. Do you have a scout coming out for Spork? Could be a scout or it could be a proxy. We're about to find out. Daedalus choosing not to scout. Can be dangerous, but does give you that little bit of extra income. Alright, Spork coming in. This is definitely scouting. No proxies. Gas is up. And both players are doing exactly the same thing right now. Cybercore for Spork. Cybercore for Daedalus. This is the mirror of mirror matches. Daedalus chasing around that probe. Might even chase it all the way out just to make sure there's no proxy shenanigans coming out. And here's a later scout. Which will not tip him off to any cheeses, but it does give him that bit of an economy edge earlier on in the game. And in this case, it was the correct decision. Because he's going to find that, everything is just super standard. So we do have, okay, we have gases for both players coming down now as well. 2 gates now for Daedalus. And 2 gates coming up for Spork as well. Alright, this is just too mirrored. It's blowing my mind. Daedalus did have this tower for a little bit, but he's choosing to give it up, going back home. Neither player trying to put down a proxy pylon, so I don't think we're going to see any aggression out of either player just yet. Alright, we do have a robo coming down for Spork. And do we have one coming down for Daedalus? Not yet. Though we do have a Stalker, as opposed to just a single Zealot coming out for Spork. So Daedalus banking up a little bit of money. Curious to see what he's going to spend it on. Might actually see some expansions. PvP has kind of grown out of the phase of the first to expand loses, and more into longer games. Though now somewhat dominated by Void Arrays. Observer coming out for Spork. And Daedalus going with another gateway. Going up to 3 gates, but not much else. This can be a little bit dangerous because you need some sort of tech in PvP generally. Ah, and there we go. There's the Twilight Council all the way in the back. This might be DT. Though with this robo opening, Spork should be okay with the observers coming out. Daedalus moving into poke, and it looks like Spork actually might be looking to expand. Ah, no DTs, but it is Blink. So we're going to see a lot of Blink Stalkers. This Stalker, very bold. He is going to get out with only slight hull damage, though. So he is safe. Gutsy, but definitely paid off. Sees that there is not an expansion there. Might be tipped off to the idea that there is one coming. This observer just seeing everything now, but it does not see that Twilight Council. Might want to go poke around. Also going to see that there's no expansion. Not uncommon in PvP. There is one coming down now for Spork, however, and it looks like he's just going to play defensive and macro up. Definitely different from the PvPs of old. Daedalus coming out with a Forge as well, likely going to get plus attack for Blink Stalkers. Somewhat surprised not to see an Observer, just so they can spot the high ground and blink up into the main. Though this map is not entirely conducive to something like Blink Stalkers or, say, Reapers, just because the front of this base is so close to the ramp anyway, that generally you'll have some sort of defense and be okay with it. Whereas the rest of the base is just completely cut off with this huge, huge dead space. Is looking to move out. Blink is finishing up. Gonna hit a little timing with this. But with an Immortal and enough Stalkers, I don't know how much damage this is gonna do. Alright, do have the expansion done, and an expansion on the way for Daedalus, so he's not going all in with this. Leading with the Zealots, as he should. Is a little bit wary that, oh, it does have a proxy pylon over here. Just out of range. Just out of range for Spork to see. This could get dangerous, actually, very quickly. But 2 Immortals should be more than enough to hold this off. 1 kill. 1 kill apiece. Oh, he's focusing down the Immortals. But that allowed the Zealots to come in and clean house. Not going well for Daedalus at all, and this is going to get pushed back very easily. Proxy Pylon will go down very quickly, and this puts Spork in a huge, huge lead. Also with the income lead with that earlier expansion, he's going to cement this even more. He's making more Immortals, which after seeing Blink Stalkers is definitely a good idea. Immortals will just wreck Stalkers all day long. More gates going down for Daedalus. And +1 is about to finish. Many more gates. Alright, going up to 6 gates and a Robo. We'll likely see an Observer and some attempted Blink shenanigans with that. Meanwhile, though, Spork is having none of this. He's realized he's done a lot of damage. So Daedalus might not have a lot at home, which I believe is in fact the case. Yeah, that army is not going to be that army. But Spork needs to be aware of this to actually take advantage of it. Does not have vision up there. He is checking for a 3rd. But he could just go in for the kill right now. But again, it's that crucial scouting information. And Daedalus is about to get a lot more production up and running. And getting an Observer of his own. Which, in this path, might actually get sniped off, but... Alright, Spork sitting back. Perhaps a bit too much. Because now this force is starting to get a lot scarier. And Spork's reinforcements are nowhere near where they need to be. This force is not going to grow. There's no Warp Prism and no Proxy Pylon to actually help reinforce it. So Spork, it looks like he's actually just going to be going for a contain then. But this has allowed Daedalus to get back into this game. And the probe gap, while it's still in Spork's favor, Daedalus is not far behind. Spork getting +1/+1, as well as a third. Alright, we're going for the long game in PvP. And we do have +2 for ground attack and +1 armor for Daedalus, so Daedalus is keeping ahead. Not a huge deal compared to, say, having Immortals versus, well, 3 Immortals versus 1 Immortal. But in the long run, when things get super late game, then it starts to actually matter again for upgrades. So Daedalus, I don't think he has vision of... No, he does not have vision of that third. I don't know when he's going to be able to get it. He's somewhat trapped in his base, but again, this force, it was super scary at first, but this is starting to get pretty impressive on its own. Again, that scouting information is so crucial. Alright, we have a Dark Shrine coming up for Daedalus. And we should have... Yes, we do have a Robotics Bay up for Spork, so we're going to see some Colossi pretty soon. Also his own Twilight Council. And he is on +2/+2 much quicker than Daedalus. Charge coming up as well. Not many Zealots, though. Alright, here they come, the Colossi. Third for Daedalus. Still lagging behind in expansions compared to Spork. But if Spork doesn't punish that, it might not matter so much in the end. Alright, here we go. Now we're getting... This Observer's granting vision of it. So his plan is to deny that third while keeping his own. So he's going to keep that economic advantage and keep up just all the extra production. And the trick is, if he walks down to try and defend that, this army is going to come up and split that army off and just start ravaging the natural. So he's likely going to have to cancel that. But will he? He does have it selected. And there's the cancel. That was the correct decision. He's going to need to do something about this army out here. Just more and more Immortals. 5 Immortals now for this army. And he's got Colossi on the way. Here comes the first now, and this Wings of Liberty was full of Colossi versus Colossi battles, and whoever had more Colossi won. Void Areas have changed that, but we have not seen the Stargate from either player. Charge as well for Daedalus, and some Archons. At least a Archon. Yeah, Dark Templar are not going to do too much with so many observers out in the field. And oh, he's just walking right down into this. Oh, but he's on move command! Oh! Just took a lot of shots that he likely should not have, and that might have been the deciding factor in this engagement. Walked right through, down through a choke, right into the Colossus, and Spork can really press his advantage right now. Looks like he's going to... Nope, okay, he's moving up. And he's really got nothing left to deal with that Colossus. He needs Immortals. That Archon definitely saving the day. Getting rid of that. And Spork is turning around. Does still see that there's no third. Getting Blink for himself, which is almost done. And Daedalus is holding on with this tiny army. But, there's just this nasty timer coming up with more and more Colossus coming up. And if he's not able to deal with those, then he is going to be in a world of pain. Alright, Spork just taking over the map now, and there's really nothing Daedalus can do about it, because the moment he moves out with that little tiny army, Spork is just going to come in and rampage all over his base. Though at this point, I'm not sure if Spork realizes just quite how far ahead he is. Alright, coming down through that choke again. Might be able to snipe that Colossus. Does try. Loses a Zealot for the attempt, but definitely a good try. Spork sees it in time. This army is just not able to catch up with this enormous force that is now getting what looks like +3 attack, +3 armor. Yes, it is 2-2. 3-2 for Daedalus, so Daedalus is ahead in upgrades, but with this size of an army, I don't think it's going to matter, especially with the Colossus doing all that splash damage. A lot of Stalkers in the back not firing. If he can snipe those Colossi, but at this point I think it's just a game of numbers. And there's the blink that should seal the deal. And it's just going to crush this army. He can just rampage on right through. And he realizes it now. He says, alright, I just killed your army. You have nothing left. But there there are no observers to detect these Dark Templar. This might keep him in the game a little bit longer, but they're going to have to do a lot of killing before this army can actually get through. And he is turning back. He needs that detection. But here comes the observer. Takes out a Colossus. But with 2 left and all these immortals, should be able to just snipe that Nexus and contain him in his main base, if nothing else. Is there an observer in there? Yes, there is. There's the observer. Oh, and those DTs are going to find out that there is an observer with that army. And I don't see what Daedalus can do from here. Almost maxed out to 30 supply. And that is the GG. Victory for Heartland Hitman Spork. Able to stay ahead in the expansions, get the superior tech up, and that first engagement down at the bottom of the ramp really sealed the deal.